I'm Jane Monreal with Vanessa Rufus. We've been following breaking news for the last 3.5 hours on a officer-involved shooting. You just heard a live press conference from CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings.
That's right. And we wanted to first and foremost address the loss of life, which was just confirmed to us by Chief Johnny Jennings. We are hearing that 3 law enforcement officers have died while the U.S. Marshals task force was trying to execute a warrant at a home on Galway Drive. We are able to confirm at least one of the law enforcement officers who died was a U.S. Marshal, and that's because we received a separate statement from the U.S. Marshal's office confirming essentially one of their own had been shot and killed. We are unable to confirm what other agencies the 2 other deceased law enforcement officers might be with. We know that multiple agencies make up this task force.
And 4 other officers with CMPD also shot. They are said to be 1 in critical condition and having to go through surgery right now, fighting for their life, and then 3 others in stable condition. The chief saying that they should be okay and make a full recovery. But this all again started around 1:30 this afternoon in a neighborhood in East Charlotte, the 5000 block of Galway Drive, when they were serving a warrant on a suspect for possession of firearm by a convicted felon.
And so officers tell us apparently that as they were trying to serve this warrant, they say that they were met with gunfire, and they believe that even after shooting the person who was firing upon them, there was another person, because they say that they continued to take gunfire from somebody inside the residence. And so we do know at this hour that 2 people who were inside the home after law enforcement was able to clear the home and basically confirm that one of the suspects was dead. They say that they took 2 people into custody for questioning, and we actually heard the chief refer to them as a 17-year-old juvenile and a female.
He said that the Charlotte community experiencing a tragedy today, which, yes, we are all seeing this tragedy right before our eyes, and know that when officers go to work, that they hope to come home, but it is possible that they don't come home, but a day like today, not expected. Charlotte Mayor Lyles also weighing in, and she got quite emotional.
That's right. A lot of emotion from her, and you know, we can understand for sure, right? Our Colin Mayfield was out there listening to the briefing in person. And so, yeah, you saw the reactions from these elected officials and law enforcement officials as they had to break this very tough news to the community.
Yeah, ladies, tragic, of course. 8 law enforcement officers. You heard Chief Johnny Jennings talk about in his career. He doesn't think that he's had 8 officers fired upon in a day like this. So it's unfathomable for these men and women to go to work and have to deal with something like this. We know the stats. Obviously, I won't go through that. But yes, tragic. We heard a tragic day said by not only the mayor, but Chief Johnny Jennings, talking about these officers that put their lives on the line every single day for the people here in Charlotte and the community that they serve, and that they're going to continue to do that. But here's what the mayor had to say, that emotional recount of everything that happened today. Listen in.
You know, 3 people lost their lives today. And the most that I can ask of our community is that we honor and respect them for all the work that they've done, all the work that we will do to make it possible for our city to be safer. Every one of us wants to be in a situation where you get up this morning and get to come back home. And someone didn't today.
So you heard the mayor obviously just noticeably shaken. It wasn't just her. We had obviously the ATF, HSI, the FBI, federal agencies out here also doing this work with our CMPD and the units that have been on the ground. So yes, it's been an emotional day, not just for those involved, but I think for the entire Charlotte community. And they understand, law enforcement understands that they have more work to do. We heard a number of residents asking questions about, will they still be in this neighborhood? And Chief Johnny Jennings saying a resounding that they will not be leaving, they will be protecting the citizens of this community. Jane, Vanessa?
Colin, thank you. And we heard also the mayor sort of put it in perspective. You know, you might have had trouble driving around, but you're able to go home.
Yeah, that's right. We did see a lot of lane closures, major roadways impacted, even the Interstate 77. We know that they had to shut down roadways in order to get these officers from the scene where they were wounded to area hospitals. Our Kayland Hagwood has actually been posted up just outside of the scene, so just outside of the immediate impact of the neighborhood. And Kayland, you mentioned seeing so many emergency vehicles out there, and you said you're 5 minutes from where this actual shooting happened.
That's right, Vanessa. I'm in the Shannon Park neighborhood, just minutes away from Galway Drive. And why I'm minutes away is because at the time when this was happening just hours ago, it seemed like multiple scenes were taking shape. I mean, there were parts of I-77 that were blocked off because of just the mass response from law enforcement and first responders. We saw the SWAT team. We saw state troopers. We saw the sheriff's office was here. And of course, many CMPD officers. It took us so much work to even be able to get to this location earlier on in the day because there was so many areas that were just blocked off as law enforcement tried to do their work. And I will tell you, we had families because at this time schools were letting out. So you had really hundreds of students just sort of pouring in, leaving the schools, you know, and in confusion as all of this was taking place. And the roads were sort of locked in certain areas of town. And so parents would come up to our news vehicle and ask, hey, what's going on? I just want to make sure that my family's okay. And at the time, all we could tell them was, you know, there's an active situation and we're waiting for more information from law enforcement. Obviously, a lot of details coming out of that press conference, and you know, I can't say that it doesn't give us a lot of comfort to hear what we've now learned. I mean, 3 officers in the U.S. Marshals Task Force were killed, 4 CMPD officers in the hospital, 1 fighting for their life tonight. And neighbors say they heard just shot after shot after shot, particularly in this neighborhood as those law enforcement officers were responding to this scene. Now that we're getting more details, I want you to hear from one of those neighbors who lives here in this neighborhood about what they experienced.
You heard from our neighbor who lives on the street that there's a number of gunshots that went off, and she then saw over 75 cop cars go down our road, the SWAT car. Then there was like a station that, like a command center that blocked it up at the top of Shannon House. And then the helicopter started coming.
Yeah, obviously a very sad situation taking place in this neighborhood. A neighbor saying that, you know, it's a lot of older folks who actually live in this area, several neighborhoods just in this general area around where this all has taken place. Certainly scary to see something like this happen at any time of the day, but this happening in broad daylight in this neighborhood affecting so many families. And now as law enforcement are responding in that hospital, so many families needing to be notified, us not even knowing the names yet of these officers who were impacted by this event. Certainly, there's going to be a lot more details that come out soon as there are just still a few cruisers left in this neighborhood. The investigation continuing with the 2 suspects, they say, at CMPD headquarters at this time being interviewed about what took place. Again, 1 is deceased, 2 other suspects at CMPD headquarters right now, and they are being questioned.
That's right. Yeah, they called them persons of interest, I believe, during that CMPD briefing just moments ago. Kayland, thank you so much for painting that picture for us.
It's got to be a surreal situation for neighbors in the area, knowing that, you know, gunshots were fired across the street or down the street, and you could hear it, and you can't even count it. There were so many, and it's so loud. Our Tradisha Woodard is close to the scene there in Galway Drive as possible. Although they say that the scene is clear, there is still a heavy presence left. Tradisha?
Absolutely, Jane. There are still officials still here on the scene. Lots of folks say this has just been a very long day, and to hear that people have lost their lives right in this community, right near home, they say they're absolutely heartbroken. A lot of folks basically recalling the moments when police were swerving over to get here, medics swerving over to get here to this neighborhood, unaware that this was happening in their neighborhood so close to home. I heard Kayland mention a lot about worries about how they're going to get their kids off the bus. You couldn't get in, you couldn't get out. So a lot of folks trying to figure out what's next. They finally get their kids, and then hours and hours pass before they can actually get into their homes. But the scene has cleared quite a bit. Take a look. Not much left here. Still a couple of police cars. A lot of folks say they witnessed multiple police cars speeding past them. They say this street here was packed with lots of cars. Of course, we have footage of that as well. Police, medic officials trying to die down this situation in this neighborhood. Now, a lot of folks tell me gunshots here in this neighborhood are pretty common. They say the first round, they thought, okay, this is normal, right? And then the second round, the third round, that's when they got concerned. Looking out of their windows, seeing SWAT cars pull through here, they say it was a very scary scene. And neighbors say this, once again, their hearts are with the folks who lost their lives here in the community today. They're absolutely heartbroken, heavy, heavy hearts in this community right now. Folks finally got a chance to go home just about 30 minutes ago. Just a heartbreaking scene. Jane, Vanessa.
Thanks, Tradisha, for that report. Again, just the anecdotes and what people are experiencing in their own neighborhood has got to be so trying and tiring. It's going to be there all day.
Yeah, we do have other crews stationed around the area. We wanted to get out to our Austin Walker, and I do remember at one point Austin even pointed out the fact he saw what he thought looked like a procession. At least that was the word he used to describe it. When you were outside Novant, you're still outside Novant, Austin. What did you see?
Yeah, hey guys, at one point, again, there were at least about 30 cop cars and law enforcement vehicles all in one line exiting this area. That is CMPD cars and the sheriff's department, everything from state troopers and medic. That being said, it was a very intense day. I think we've all been saying this across the Charlotte area, that it has just been a very intense day with presence from all different kinds of law enforcement. I want to show you this video actually on your screen, which you could see part of that speed into the hospital from state troopers. Again, very intense. You saw lights and sirens, speed that was going up. That's going up 4th Street in this area, which again, that's about 30 miles an hour this road. So they were obviously speeding to get to the hospital. That's what we saw for a lot of today. But then obviously, like many areas, it died off and you didn't see as much traction. But then here and there, you'd see more vehicles come in and out. The big question we've had today is because a lot of these officers did sustain gunshots, they did have to get treated somewhere within the Charlotte community. So we asked Novant if they had anybody from the scene transported to this area. When asking Novant, they told us to direct that to CMPD. They did just send us an email, though, telling us that they are committed to helping their community any way they can, but they did not answer if anybody from that scene was transported to Novant. But again, we did see a very big presence from all different types of law enforcement at Novant Health. Again, we are learning more throughout the day, trying to put these pieces together, and obviously our hearts go out to those officers who lost their life. Again, we'll make sure to update you on air and online with the latest, but for now, we are live from Novant. Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
Certainly thinking of their families.
Absolutely. And when you have someone in the hospital, sometimes what we don't know yet, but you hear the procession along the lines of active sirens and flashing lights, you know that something is dangerous and potentially very tragic.
And we've been seeing images just kind of reflecting the emotions of the community and how folks are feeling. For example, we just saw a few moments ago coming into our newsroom some video showing flags at half-staff already, and you can see there, it looks like a memorial growing now. This is outside. We believe the federal